Hey, welcome back to my channel. So I've known I wanted to make this particular video for forever, for so long. I'm just gonna jump right into it. So if you're new to my channel, a lot of people don't know that I used to be morbidly obese. I was almost 300 pounds at one point in my life. If you scroll down my list of videos, you will actually see some old vlogs from when I was going through my weight loss surgery process. So I want to talk a little bit about how I used to be treated like when I was almost 300 pounds before I start talking about how I was treated after losing 100 pounds. At my highest weight, which was 256 pounds, I started gaining weight pretty rapidly in high school. I hadn't always been as big as I was, and it was really difficult for me because I really didn't understand why I was gaining so much weight so quickly. I was being told at the doctor's office that I was pre-diabetic, and I was feeling it in my joints. I was feeling it in my knees, my ankles when I was walking, and I was a teenager. This should not be happening as a teenager. Beyond my health, socially, I didn't have a social life. In middle school, I was kind of chunky, and I used to get asked out for fun. You know, when somebody used to come up to you and say, hey, you wanna go out? And you're so excited, you're like, oh wow, and they're like, oh, just kidding. Like, yeah, I definitely had a group of friends in high school because we were kind of the weird kids who liked anime cartoons. We were drawing all the time. But within that friend group, there were still like some romantic situations here and there, and I was just like never a factor in any of them. Never even considered to be taken out or asked out on a date. I was not asked to prom. I had absolutely no dating life in high school at all. Like, none. Nobody wanted to be with the fat girl. I was never ignored in the friend group. I was always just that. I was just the friend and like nothing beyond the friend. I had a lot of guy friends too because I'm a gamer, and you know, guys like girls who play games, like, you know, to be friendly with. But yeah, again, I was only ever the friend and like nothing more, nothing beyond that. I was like the bros, like one of the bros. You know how that goes, like nothing beyond that. After high school, I had my weight loss surgery. I had a vertical sleeve gastrectomy. Of course, because it was a health problem, I saw results. So in the first year, I lost about 70 pounds, which is predicted for most weight loss surgery patients to lose about 60 to 70% of their body fat within the first year. And that was the case for me because I was following my doctor's instructions. Thank you, Dr. McMullen. So I went from 250 pounds to about 160 within my first year, and then as time progressed, I lost even more weight, and now I teeter between like 160, 150. So I had that surgery back in 2019. So I definitely know right now I'm not at my lowest weight, but I'm also nowhere near my highest weight. I've plateaued at this weight, and I've been at this weight for like the past year and a half now. But how has my life changed since I've lost weight? I've taken so many notes over the past couple of years because I knew this video was gonna come. I've always been extremely perceptive, like very, very perceptive of how people feel, how people treat me, how people's vibes are in a room, because I know what it feels like to be ignored, and I know what it feels like to feel like you don't belong somewhere, and I never ever want anybody else to feel the way that I felt in society. I don't like to label myself an empath because that's so corny. But I think I have the right. I think I do. So first things first, right off the bat, people just treat me nicer. They just do. And it's really sad to say, but people go out of their way to do things. Like, I've noticed people hold the door open for me, people just randomly smiling at me in public. It's just so weird. People staring at me in public. I used to get stared at when I was fat. Like, please don't get me wrong, but it's a different kind of stare. There's a different vibe to it. You can feel the difference in the way somebody's looking at you, if it's positive or negative. One thing that I remember very, very clearly is when I went shopping for the first time at a mall. I walked into Victoria's Secret, a place that I have never, ever been able to fit into. I only walked into it because my mother and my sister wanted to shop because they've always been small. And I didn't even think that the employee would approach me me because they never did in the past. But the employee actually came up to me and told me like, we're having a sale today. That had never ever happened to me ever in my life. And I was kind of confused, like kind of taken aback, like, why are you telling me this? You should be telling my mom and my sister. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm skinny now. really freaking sad. Like, really sad. I also get a lot of compliments in real life now. Like before, compliments just stayed online. You know, compliments from your friends, oh, you look nice, blah, 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 blah. But like now I get compliments from random people. The other day I was buying breakfast at a local cafe that I used to frequent even when I was fat. When I put my food down and I was paying, the girl was like, oh, is that all? I was like, yes, thank you. She was like, you are so pretty. You're just really pretty. And you have really good energy. I'm just like, okay, thanks. But like, I've never gotten those kind of like off-track compliments like when I was fat. And that's not the first time it's happened to me. That's happened quite a bit when I've gone out. And it happens also at work. So when I first started losing weight, I worked in a hospital and I wore scrubs. And I remember within the first couple of months after my surgery, I was quite literally drowning in my scrubs. I did not fit my scrubs anymore. And everybody in my unit was like, what's going on? Like, wow, you are so thin. And like just making comments and compliments. And one thing that I've noticed, there was this one compliment that was frequently repeated and they're like, you're so pretty now. And I'm like, now? Like what happened to them? I got that compliment so many times that it started to piss me off after a while. I'm like, oh, I'm pretty now? I actually started to correct people when they were saying it to me because I'm like, do you hear what you said? Like, you're so pretty now? Does that mean I was ugly before? Like, what are you actually saying? And people don't even realize they're biased. Like, it just flies out of their mouth so easily. I also get a lot of nicknames at work that I didn't get before, especially at like my new job. Right now I work in an office, so I wear like different office attire and I really like office wear. I get people coming up to me like, you're so elegant, or like, you're so classy, you're so bougie. I get bougie, oh my God, bougie. I get bougie all the time. And it's like, I'm not bougie, I just can finally wear the things that I like because they make it in my size. That's it. I used to dress in what could fit me, not in what I liked, because I didn't have any options when I was fat. When I was almost 300 pounds, the only area in the store I can shop in was the plus size section. And it was very minimal and not all stores had them. And in some stores, plus size sections literally looked like the elderly section. Like, it was just so bad and terrible and ugly. Ugly patterns, ugly cuts, random cropping. It was whatever could fit me was what I wore. Now that I'm straight size and not plus size, I can find clothing that fits my personality. Hearing like, you're so bougie or like elegant or regal, or I get all these really weird compliments and I'm just like, no, I'm just finally able to dress the way that I like to dress, and that's about it. Like, nothing has changed about my personality. Nothing has changed. I'm the same person. It's so weird. Oh my gosh, this next one, I'm reading off the list. Men. Do I have to say anything else? Men coming out of the woodwork. Like, men. People from my past especially. This is something that shocked me. Some of those old guy friends that I used to play video games with that like did not give two damns about me at all were now like flooding my DMs like, hey, so how are you? Hey, you know, we should hang out, we should catch up, we should, you know, all this nonsense. Like, every single time it happened, I was like, you know I can see you? Like, who was that? Was it Cat Williams? Like, that skit, like, do you know I can see you? Like, do you know I remember you? Do you know I'm the same person? What's changed? Why are you now acknowledging me? Why are you now acknowledging the fact that like I'm a cool person? Like, I've always been a cool person. I've always played video games. I've always been a nerd. Very weird. Like, they flood my DMs thinking that I'm really going to take them seriously and that I'm interested. And I've gotten so many love confessions from guys and girls too, because you know, we LGBT friendly over here. But like from everybody, like out of the complete woodwork, like where are you guys coming from with this? And I'm absolutely not interested at all. It actually really disgusts me. I feel offended every time it happens. It's like, okay, so that means you've always seen me and just chose not to interact with me because of the way I looked. And why you would think now that I would be interested in anything that's superficial, I will never understand, but I'm not interested. Like, it's just so, it grosses me out every time it happens, and it makes me sad because past me always knew that the reason why I wasn't getting attention like my friends were was because of my weight. And it kind of confirms that, and it's just really sad. I also get a lot of comments from family and friends. They always tell me like, oh, watch how much you're eating. And that's another thing. People like to watch me eat. It's so weird, and it's actually really triggering to me. I have body dysmorphic disorder, so I'm already very hyper aware of the way that I look. Like, every single day of my life, every single minute of my life, I'm aware of how I look. And having other people now watching me while I eat, or watching me and making comments like day to day about how I'm dressed or whatever, that's been really, really triggering. It's been so uncomfortable, especially in like work-based settings. I don't eat in the break room at work because at one point people were commenting on every single thing that I was putting into my body. If I decided to have like a treat myself day and I bought like, I don't know, like a donut, and I sat down to eat it, they're like, oh, surprising, like the healthy girl is eating a donut today. And I'm just like, why are you so concerned about what I'm eating? It got so uncomfortable to a point that, yeah, I just stopped eating in the break room altogether and started eating at my desk in my cubicle so people would leave me alone, because it's like they were so invested in what I was having for lunch. But it's not just people at work, it's sometimes my family too. They will say, you know, oh wow, you're eating more than you usually do, or like, be careful not to drink too much juice, or like, you know, just like random comments for me to watch my weight. And it's like, no, thank you, but I know my limits, and like I know how to handle myself. And sometimes if we have family gatherings, I eat healthy like that entire week just so that on that day I know, because I know how my family eats, so I can eat whatever I want that day. So it's like the comments are very unnecessary. I'm fine. Like, you don't have to watch my weight for me. I can watch my own weight. On another side of the coin, I actually realized once I lost weight, I lost friends. Friends. I'm gonna put that in quotation marks because they were never my friends to begin with. I kind of always knew as the fat girl, I was the fat friend. Like, it was very, very obvious to me why some groups of friends kept me around. They kept me around because I was the friend that made them look better. Like, it was very, very obvious. There were some instances that I will absolutely never forget. I remember I was at an anime convention years ago with some of those friends. We were all just standing around in a group, and a photographer approached us and he says, oh, you know, you guys, I love your costumes, your cosplay. Can I take a picture of you guys? And of course we're like excited. We're like these little teenagers, like, oh my goodness, somebody likes our cosplay enough to ask us, you know. So we all stood around like doing our poses and stuff. And the photographer looks to me, I was like all the way at the end. He looks to me and he was like, only them, not you. And I was just like, oh, okay. And I kind of looked to my friends thinking that they were gonna say something to him, like, no, like, she's our friend too. You either take a picture of all of us or you get none of us. But they didn't do that. They did not do that. And it happened like throughout the convention, and I will just never forget the way that made me feel. And yeah, it's safe to say that they are no longer my friends anymore. Yeah, I lost a lot of friends between the time period of me being fat to me being skinny, because I was no longer that scapegoat friend that could make other people look good. I'd always been the friend that when we went to a party, the guys would approach me to ask for my friends' numbers and not for my number. I know some of my friends just loved that. They probably felt so great about that when I came up to them like, hey, that guy's asking for your number. Like, yay, like the fat friend did her job. And it's so weird because those same guys are now in my DMs. so disgusting. It's just, ugh. Because I was no longer the fat friend anymore, it was like I didn't fit the mold of the group anymore because they had no one to compare themselves to. On another side of the coin too, modeling. I actually started taking modeling very seriously, and in return, I found a lot of brands actually took me seriously as well. So I'd always been an independent model. I'm not signed to any agency, even though I've actively been looking since I was a teenager. But when I was putting out my digitals online and asking like independent brands if they would want to work with me or if they needed a plus size model, I very rarely got any like instantaneous responses. But I noticed a lot of indie brands have actually been wanting to work with me since I've lost weight. I'm still within the plus size range, so every now and then I could fit something that's like a size 10 to 12, which is fashion's plus size. So when they need a model, they usually do reach out to me. I had a major brand actually come into my DMs a while back, and it surprised the hell out of me because I absolutely did not expect a brand like that to want to work with me. They've been featured in like Harper's Bazaar, Vogue, and even though it kind of fell through, just knowing that brands were looking at my content and looking at me and seeing me in a different way, that was actually a really positive change, and I welcomed that. I really did. So all in all, it really makes me sad that as a society, this is the way things are. And we all know it to be true. We know our society is a fat-phobic society. We know our society favors thinness over fatness, and if you're somebody who's struggling with their weight and you feel the way that I've felt, because I still feel like that every now and then, I mean, it never leaves you. Those experiences don't just leave you overnight. Those experiences haven't left me because the weight left me. They're still in the back of my mind, and I still struggle with it every single day. But if you're that kind of person who's been where I've been, or you're still there right now, just know you don't have to change yourself for anybody. I didn't lose the weight to impress these people. I lost the weight because I needed to better my health. I was on the brink of diabetes. They were telling me all the time, you're pre-diabetic, you're pre-diabetic, and it was killing me. My joints were hurting me. I was in physical pain. I had to lose the weight. I didn't lose the weight so that some guy could jump into my DMs. Ew. Just ew. Just know you don't have to change yourself for anyone, for no one. Nobody is worth changing yourself for. Nobody is worth making you feel like garbage. Please know that, like, please know that. I'm at an average size. I can go to most shops and find clothing that will fit me, but I'm still the same Rhea. I'm the same girl. I have the same brain. My personality has not changed. And I still remember how people used to treat me, and I think people don't realize that. It's a very superficial world that we're in, and I'm just glad that I've had these experiences because now I know how to better treat people. I know how to sympathize and empathize with people, and I know that I'll never be one of those disgusting people that treats people based on the way that they look. I will never be that kind of person, ever. So anyways, thanks for watching my video, guys, and thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you guys next week.